Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. I hope this finds you well. It's been a while since I did a video looking at the markets, so I figured it was about time to do one again. A lot has happened since I last did one. Bitcoin has reached its prior all-time high, so I think it's time for an update. Let's take a look. Today we're gonna take a look at the Bitcoin chart. We're gonna take a look at the Caspa chart. We're gonna take a look at the S&P 500, and I'll share my thoughts on it all with you all. Maybe help calm some nerves and offer some reassurance here. We've had a little bit of turbulence here in the Bitcoin chart, but really if you zoom out, it's all looking pretty typical right now. One thing we also should look at, now that I'm thinking about it, is the total 3 chart, which is the altcoin market, basically everything minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think we'll take a look at that too, although I don't have that pulled up. So, and if you guys like the content, please subscribe, click the bell, all that, to get future notifications. We also have the Ski Bum Trading Discord server. You can find that in the link below via the Patreon. Feel free to join if you want more real-time updates. So one thing I wanted to do first was take a look at the Bitcoin chart and play with some potential outcomes that might take place regarding the timing of the cycle peak. Timing is always very hard to predict. It's kind of easier to find the levels, but we can look at the patterns in front of us here based on, for one thing, the last cycle peak. We can also look at time from the Bitcoin halving. These are just some things to maybe get a little inspired by when formulating a plan. So the first we're going to look at is the breakout, the last breakout from the last cycle when it broke out against its previous all-time high. It took about 120 days to reach its first peak. The second peak was many altcoins actually did better on this one, and they never really kind of peaked out again after after the second peak. So technically, even though Bitcoin got a little bit higher, we can call this maybe a first peak, and we'll look at that. We'll look at that for now, just because I think this is really the one you want to be aware of. So 120 days, if we came and we just kind of transposed this into the current times where Bitcoin potentially might be breaking out. Notice the question mark. We don't know if it's going to break out for sure. We're pretty much just at the all-time high, the previous all-time high. But if it did break out 119 days, 120 days, around there, this is the weekly chart, so it's not going to be exact. It doesn't have accuracy to the day on the weekly. But anyway, it would be roughly July. It would be roughly July. And so, there's a hot debate, right, between are we following the halving, or is the timing going to be such that Bitcoin peaks in 2024 early? Because if it followed the halving, as you can see here, last Bitcoin halving happened here. The peak happened about, almost a year later, right? And that's when it took place, especially if you use the second peak, then it was definitely over a year. So if we transpose that, then we're looking at sometime early 2025, right? So sometime early 2025 if we go by this schedule. But if we look at the time from the breakout, it's going to be earlier. It could be even in July of 2024. So that is an interesting thing to be aware of. I would not get fixed into any particular headspace regarding this. I would keep an open mind, especially if we start to get up to these Fibonacci levels up here. These are the upper end of the Fibonacci extension. So if we get up here and it is 2024, Bitcoin just keeps pumping up, it continues on this rampage, and we get up to this area in 2024, I'm going to be a little bit cautious. I'm going to be a little bit cautious. So that's just me. And if it happens next year, also, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time. It could kind of cool off for a bit, like we see here. Basically, these fractals, I took this fractal literally from right here. This is this fractal. Then this one is from the halving right here. So obviously, I don't expect anything to repeat exactly. So this is all just to be taken with a grain of salt, and just get an idea of what could potentially happen. We can also, just because things don't play out exactly, typically, why not look at this and consider something else entirely? What about the potential of a triple peak type of situation where we have 1, 2, 3, and Bitcoin actually comes down from here, and it I don't know what maybe it comes down to retest the 618 or the 0.5. The thing is that we have the 20 and 21 week SMA and EMA down here currently at 47 and 46K. And that's moving up over time. So if it does come back down, typically those moving averages, as you can see, in a bull market, they generally will hold. You can see right here that Bitcoin did very, very well. It just kind of held this all the way up. So, so if we did come back down, you'd want to be looking at those moving averages, and you can't rule it out. You can't rule it out. Is it? I mean, it just feels a little bit too obvious, both A and B. To be honest, if I'm honest with you, it feels a little obvious. But maybe most people are off sides. Maybe most people, there is such extreme fear down here that people aren't, are underexposed, and maybe the less I don't know what the potential outcome is to the upside, that most people are offside. So this really gives the momentum up here, because once Bitcoin really breaks out, then people are going to wish that they had more exposure, and maybe that can push price up. So maybe this is the less popular outcome, although it feels like people are pretty bullish, and so I could see it going either way. I think these are like pretty. I don't know. I think that feels too easy to me. I feel like the market kind of needs a scare. I think it could come down somewhere in here and make people wonder if we're going to get a triple peak cycle. Although we also have to consider, let's take a look at the S&P 500. So this is important, and before you think to yourself, oh, I'm not in the U.S., I don't need to pay attention. But it's all just the capital flow, the liquidity, and it's important to pay attention to this because it affects the crypto market. You go from higher risk, from low risk to high risk. People will scale out of things like the stock market and put it into crypto once they make money here. So I mentioned on Twitter that this was looking pretty bullish to me at the time back in September, so somewhere in here, right? And offered up this cup and handle, this level, and sometimes the low risk trade is to go against the popular sentiment And this was not very popular. People on Twitter were very bearish when Bitcoin was doing this. I think that people were afraid that it was really just going to come back down, and the macro economic narrative was not so hot back then, rising interest rates and all that. So, but look at it's just gone. It's broken out. It's to this beautiful cup and handle. It's coming up. So, looking at upper, Fibonacci extensions here, it looks possible to me that uh, S&P 500 is going to 5,600, and then if it does that, it could even just come down potentially. Like if it comes up here, it could come back down. It could retest this previous all-time high, and then whatever, it could come back up and keep going. But we got to keep an eye on what's actually happening. And so, not to say the macro conditions don't affect anything. I mean, it's worth paying attention to, but this was just like a beautiful technical thing that was playing out. And show me the charts and I'll tell you the news type of situation. Maybe, the interest rates weren't, we could have predicted maybe the interest rates via this chart, right? Usually the markets drop after they start lowering the interest rates, and not when they're raising the interest rates. So people were waiting for the interest rates to come down maybe, but the charts were saying otherwise. I don't know. You could argue maybe that, look at the charts and then you can predict what's going to happen, what's going to come out of Jerome Powell's mouth. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I like looking at the charts first and foremost. So and then Caspa. So since Bitcoin and the stock market are strong, capital tends to rotate from the higher market cap, Bitcoin stock, high market cap stock companies and all that stuff, into like higher risk stuff. Caspa is still a mid cap, so things tend to rotate from Bitcoin to Ethereum to other top 10 crypto projects, and then trickle down. And there's exceptions. Things can pump within certain brackets, but you tend to see at times, like, sometimes in a cycle, you'll see all these microcaps just like one after another going crazy. That happens at certain times. And other times it's a lot of like the top 10 or top 20, or then it's mid caps and all that stuff. But so yeah, expecting things to play out as they always have. Just being prepared for that. It can, if you haven't experienced it before, can be hard to be patient. And these lines are actually a little bit off here because it's not including the bars. Sorry about that. But so if you look at the bars, you can get a better idea here. But yeah, I'm still looking at this Wyckoff schematic. This area up in here looks to be a potential support level to me. If we continue to hold this, we could come up and maybe go for another breakout. So yeah, these fib levels, 35 cents potentially higher. It really depends on what you look at, because if you look at come in here, some wick, there was a wick down. Yeah, this wick down here. The deeper the dip, the higher the rip. If you go off that, then we're looking at 41 cents. And actually, just how the price action is now, kind of interesting, because I wasn't sure if going by this wick down would be more useful, or going with this area right here, because this could have been an anomaly type of thing. I guess this probably happened on some exchanges, maybe on leverage, like perpetuals and stuff like that. like just this crazy liquidation wick. So I wasn't sure if this is more useful or if this low is more useful. But what's interesting now, yeah, we have this 41 cent level up here. If you go with that wick, so if you take this away, and now, yeah, we can get some confluence here. Actually, I noticed now based on this, if we come down and draw a fib here, we're also going to get, look at that, 40 cents. So now I'm seeing a little bit more, maybe a little more potential to get actually up to the 40 cent level and not necessarily the 35 cent level, simply because this wick, I wasn't sure if it was an anomaly, so I wasn't sure to use that or this, but now the confluence of drawing a fib on this range here, this pullback, as of now, it's also giving me 40 cents. And this also makes me believe that maybe a bottom is in fact coming in here. You can also see that the 20 and 21 week SMAs right here, we're basically touching it. And so far that's been pretty reliable for Caspa. So yeah, you can come back and take a look at all this. Generally when it gets down to this level or below, that's a pretty low risk buy. It got down here at one point, and that was a great deal, as you can see. So when it comes down here, that's generally been a low risk entry. And then let's see what else we got. We got, can remove these indicators. We can look at the RSI divergence indicator, which on the 3-day, this has been pretty nice actually, as far as being able to see where the real value is and the reversals are. So you're not going to catch the Pico bottom going by this, but when it flips green, generally that leads to a pretty big pump. So after being oversold, yeah, in this lower range, when it comes up, flips green, yeah, what follows next is generally pretty massive. You can see pretty much without fail every time it flips green after coming into this zone. Pretty massive. This area has been a very large accumulation, a very long accumulation, kind of this, people are very impatient and they're getting bored here. The price actually hasn't come down that much compared to previous drawdowns, but people are getting very bored here because it's taken so long. And but really, the chart looks great to me. So I think it's more just a time-based thing where people are just getting bored and impatient, and other coins are pumping now because of where Bitcoin is. But I always prefer to buy value and not price, and pretty much unfazed. I'd rather have a lot of money in something like Caspa than putting it into something like Pepe or whatever, right? Something that's just a total hype thing with no real fundamentals, no real purpose in the grand scheme. I'm not into it. You could put a little money into it, but if I put a lot of money into it, I wouldn't be sleeping well holding it. That's just me. So I can actually make more money on something like Caspa because I feel better about it. So yeah, that's what I choose to do. Yeah, and so you can see kind of it's coming down here, and when this flips green, it'll be a lagging indicator because every time it flips green, we get a good pump pretty much every time, right? Every time. Just go through and look at this, try for yourself the RSI divergence indicator, use the 3-day. And actually 3-day, you need a trading view like subscription to get the custom uh, time frames. So actually I'll put a link in the description below if you want to use it. I think you get a discount or whatever. I'll put that down there. You can go ahead. So yeah, things are looking good. I think it's an oversold territory. And yeah, I think upside soon is pretty likely, and we could potentially get this 40 cent level and potentially higher, because it could wake up. Sometimes momentum can drive it up further than you realize. Like this got to 4 cents, and I thought it was gonna go to I thought it was gonna go to 3 cents here based on what we were looking at. And this was something that I was writing about a lot at the time. Um, right, this full extension was on this one. Hard to see where I'm doing, but I think it was around, yeah, even 2.8. Figured it would go to 3, it would blow up a little bit, but it actually went as high as yeah, 4.2, 4.3 cents. So sometimes the momentum can really just even push it further than what is on the table technically. So hey, it could go to 50. It could go to 50 cents, right? And then also, who knows? The market cycle, Bitcoin could be really going at it, and everything could be going sky high and just kind of push higher. So I'll look at the also real quick. Maybe we can look at the fractals. And yeah, they're again obviously not playing out time wise. They played out well here. That was very interesting. Um, and now they you could say they're lagging, but also you could say Caspa was ahead of schedule because Bitcoin was breaking out when this was happening on these um, fractals from last cycle from Cardano and Ethereum. So in a lot of ways, you could actually just transpose these to like more to look more like I believe it's right here. Yeah, more like kind of this sort of timing, because that's when they really broke out. Whoops. So that's when Bitcoin broke out. So it could more so be lined up like this, where it's more imminent because Bitcoin is breaking out here. So maybe this is more so the correct timing. But we'll see. We'll see. Either way, it was very interesting that early on, Caspa was following these fractals, and also the levels are just important as far as market caps go, because Cardano got to $90 billion dollar market cap, which correlated with a little over a $3 price tag, and because Caspa has a similar supply, if it got that market cap, it would be around here. It would get up to around $4. So yeah, it's a good guide to look at. And then also you have this Bitcoin power law guy Giovanni, who really is a guy who's really focused on Bitcoin, and he has found that Caspa actually is following the power law. So, and it seems to be like one of the only coins other than Bitcoin that is following the power law. So yeah, check his account out, and too early to tell, but KAS is the only non-Bitcoin crypto that seems to follow a power law pretty nicely. Time will tell. So things are looking pretty good. You can also look at casping.streamlit.app, and you've got the Rambo chart here, which is interesting. Looking at it, looks like a Bitcoin chart, but it's Caspa, and maybe it's because Caspa has this rapid emission schedule, so it's kind of like Bitcoin, but very sped up as far as its emissions. And then, you can also look at the power law. You can put it on logarithmic and take a look at this. You can kind of get an idea when it's oversold or undersold. Accidentally. I've got to reload that. But yeah, so you can kind of get an idea historically here, and you can also come in here and predict it out forward. So it's saying right now, we'll see how accurate, but it's saying right now that looks like this spring, maybe April or May, we're looking at predicted fair price of 20 cents, which I think is fair. Yeah, so pretty soon it could get up there. I think you can then also move the time period out, like so. Let's see, number of days, let's do closer to a year. Let's see what it says. 356 days out, predicted price $1. Yeah, so that seems fair. I mean, it's not over the top, and given where the market could be a year from now, if we go back and look at this chart. So maybe a year from now, maybe we do get this repetition of the past time between the halving and the actual peak, and it's a year out. And maybe next spring we do have a peak, and Caspa is above $1. Maybe it's even higher. Maybe it's getting a bit of a blow off top or something like that. And maybe January 2025 we're pushing $2 or something like that. Maybe we do get up to this red line, and we're pushing $2. So I think those are realistic prices, right? 3 to 5 would be like Cardano size market cap, and I think we could get a blow off type of situation where we are getting that, and then it could come back down. But I think all these prices are actually very like doable, very realistic, and even conservative. And probable. I think if people are calling for like $10 this cycle, I think that's a little bit outlandish. But hey, anything's possible. I just think that having a more realistic idea is probably gonna serve you well. But some people will sure say $10. So just be cautious if that's what you choose to believe. And yeah, I'm interested in finding the cycle peak. When I came in here and I sold everything, it was based on both what I was seeing in the charts and then also the narrative that I was seeing in the media. And I didn't expect a second peak to come in here, so I just stayed out of the market. And the whole way down, I waited. I started buying around 20K. And then as this pattern started playing out, I started seeing like 15,500 coming in potentially. And it turned out that was actually the bottom if you look at that. So we did get 15.5 right down here, and I saw that up in here. So yeah, so technical analysis I think always wins the day, more so than macro. Sometimes you can just see what the news is in the charts. So that's what I try to do. I try to analyze the charts, and also have the Ski Bum Trading Discord. Anybody who wants to join that, I'll leave that in the link. A link for that in the description below. You can get the invite link via the Ski Bum Trading Patreon, and we are basically just giving each other ideas as far as charts. I share my opinion, I answer questions, and I'm happy to take chart requests and all that stuff. So You know, if that's something you're interested in, feel free to join. And you know, I also share my trades, and when I'm scaling out, I'll make sure I let everyone know. It's not something that I'll share publicly on Twitter until I am completely out. When I sell all my crypto and I'm not in the market anymore, that's when I share that. But you know, if you want to just stay posted on what I'm doing, then this is where I share that. So anyway, yeah, I hope this was all helpful for you all, and yeah, I look forward to talking more. And if you guys have any requests, feel free to drop them in the comments below. If there's anything you'd like to see, I tend to focus on Bitcoin and Caspa in the U.S. stock market. But if there's any specific things, let me know, and if I feel comfortable doing it, I can put up a video on it. And especially if you know, if you join the Ski Bum Trading Discord, I'm happy to do chart requests on the daily. And otherwise, enjoy your day. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, make sure to subscribe.